It is the history of Fall Brawl. Fall is in the air. I don't know if you know. It's the South, so they gave us fall, and then they took it right back away.
Dude, it's Fall Brawl. Yeah, it was warm today, but I'm feeling it.
Yeah. They used to do the Fall Brawl in September.
In Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Yeah, a lot of North Carolina events for Fall Brawl. I love it. So I thought we'd do a dive into Fall Brawl. It was WCW's response to WWE's Survivor Series. It was a September event from 1993 to 2000. They did use the name previously. They used to do Clash of the Champions Fall Brawl from 88 to 91. But you know how names split off and they do their own thing. So this is just Fall Brawl from 93 to 2000. And it grabbed the War Games. It gave War Games a platform. War Games was kind of brought about in the late 80s upon house shows. And don't worry, we will definitely get into that on a future episode. I've just dove headfirst into War Games and all of its history. So I got so many more episodes coming to you about War Games and its inception and history and all that good stuff. But it was created by Dusty Rhodes. It was used as a special match that just for the Four Horsemen at the beginning. So this is nice to see once it was given its own pay-per-view, how it kind of evolved. This is kind of like when they made Hell in a Cell its own thing. Mm-hmm. You know, they removed it from Bad Blood. They gave it its own pedestal. So this is Fall Brawl War Games. Started in 93. So we'll start with Fall Brawl 93. Not going to give you the whole card because that's crazy. A lot of crazy matches, a lot of fun matches, a lot of superstars that came across their name. And I was like, oh, I forgot when they ran WCW. Like Johnny B. Bad. You know, Mark Marrow, you know, like he had quite a few matches on there. Mm-hmm. He seemed like he was the undercard king for the first couple of years. But 93 was a fun one. We got a rare sighting of the Too Cold Scorpio Buff Bagwell tag team. So that's nice. Rick Rude defeated Flair for the WCW Heavyweight Championship on this. I forgot how much WCW actually believed in Rick Rude and pushed him.
So much.
The Dangerous Alliance, they gave Rick Rude his flowers. Mm-hmm. And then he'd come back to WWF and they'd be like,
nope.
Well, you can have the IC belt. Well, actually, you could lose the IC belt. That's all we're going to give you. But the War Games match in 93, just blockbuster names, man. Sting, Davey Boy Smith, Dustin Rhodes, and the Shockmaster defeated Sid Vicious, Vader, and Harlem Heat.
I love seeing Harlem Heat, man.
Loved seeing Shockmaster. Had such a terrible debut. This was pretty much right after. Like, he debuted promoting this matchup. And he came in and I want to know how this guy went from debuting with a bedazzled Stormtrooper's helmet to wearing jeans and a white button-up with boots in the ring. What gimmick did Shockmaster have?
Right.
You're just a big dude? Is that your gimmick? I'm the Shockmaster. What? That blew my mind. I got so excited when I saw he was part of this. I was like, because the only thing I knew about the Shockmaster was how horribly his debut went. Mm-hmm. When he supposedly broke through the wall, they had a board underneath it that they didn't tell him about, so he tripped.
I'm going to have to watch this.
It's great.
I'm going to have to pull it up.
Storm, if you are a wrestling fan, please check out Shockmaster debut. Widely considered one of the worst debuts of all time. And this was the match, and he debuted with jeans and a white button-up with some cowboy boots. And he was a big dude. He made Sid Vicious look tiny. He made Vader look tiny. He had zero charisma in this match. Like, he's throwing elbows. He's chopping. He's not playing up the audience. Like, he hit this major elbow, and all he had to do was turn to the crowd. And he just went about his business. I'm like, so he didn't last too much longer. He was Old Typhoon from WWF, part of the Natural Disasters. Yeah. Zero charisma, poor guy. So yeah, that was 93. Then we moved to 1994, another good year for pro wrestling. In the undercard, we get Jim Duggan defeating Steve Austin for the U.S. title. Stunning Steve. He was about to be very underutilized in WCW and go to ECW at that point. Vader defeated Sting and the Guardian Angel in a triple threat match. The Guardian Angel was Big Boss Man. He was trying a community watch type gimmick.
Like that.
He was always around some kind of lawman.
Yeah.
The War Games match, Dusty Rhodes and the Nasty Boys defeated the Stud Stable, led by Colonel Parker, Terry Funk, Arn Anderson, and Bunkhouse Buck. the stud stable. That was WCW in the 90s, man, and I loved every second of it. But it was nice to see Dusty and Dustin together. Didn't see a lot of that in the 90s. Or ever. That was right before he was about to leave and go become Gold Dust in WWF.
To make his father mad.
It was a big middle finger to his father.
To make his father angry.
Yeah. 95 edition, we get Arn Anderson defeating Ric Flair. One of their few times that they weren't on the same side. And War Games, listen to this star-studded War Games that they had in 95. This is when the scales started tipping to WCW. This is when WWF started losing their stars, WCW. This War Games match saw Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Lex Luger, and Sting. Talk about a team. Defeating Dungeon of Doom, which was Kamala, Zodiac Killer, which is Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Shark, which was Earthquake, John Tenta, and Ming. So Dungeon of Doom. That was the heyday of Dungeon of Doom trying to kill Hulkamania, Hogan, all that mess.
Wow. That is star-studded.
Star-studded. And then, of course, over the time of the next year, we get the NWO invasion. So naturally, the 96 edition is going to be heavy NWO.
And that's what I started with.
Conan defeated Juventud for the AAA championship. That was cool that they showed that alliance early on, because a lot of my favorite memories with WCW was the Cruiserweight division and a lot of the Mexican stars.
Juventud, baby.
Killed it. The Giant defeated Savage. That was already after the Giant. I love they had Giant part of NWO early on, and then no. Because he wanted to fight Hogan. You can't do that if you're a member of the NWO.
Right.
Said that president super early. We get our first NWO clash with WCW. We get Team NWO, Hogan, Outsiders, and their version of Sting. Because they said Sting was on their side. And this started all that Luger can't trust Sting nonsense. This is how we started getting the Crow Sting. WCW had Luger, Flair, Arn Anderson, and Sting showed up just enough to show he wasn't on Team NWO. But he ended up leaving WCW high and dry. He came in, hit some people in the face, peaced out. NWO won. This is when NWO was maybe 2 months old. So they had to get the win here.
Yeah.
97 edition rolls around, still heavily NWO. In the undercard, we get a DDP versus Lex Luger defeating NWO's Savage and Scott Hall. Is this the one you watched where Scott Hall might have been a little...
No, that would have been 2000. That would have been 98.
Okay, we'll get that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll get that. This version of the NWO War Games match, not nearly as star-studded. It was NWO versus the Four Horsemen, but for NWO, we get Kevin Nash, Six, Buff Bagwell, and Conan.
Okay.
Defeating Flair, Kurt Hennig, Benoit, and McMichael. That's cool. Kurt Hennig got into one. 98 edition, we're still losing a lot of steam here in WCW. We get Steiner versus Steiner on the undercard. Rick versus Big Papa Pump.
Yeah.
Perry Saturn versus Raven after the flock was falling apart. You know, a lot of friends versus friends here, I noticed. Conan defeated Scott Hall, former NWO buddies, you know, like just things, they just flip. Oh, your friends last week? No. You don't like each other this week. And Team WCW beat the two NWO teams in 98. So this was a triple threat War Games match where Team WCW had 3 men, Wolfpack had 3 men, and NWO Hollywood had 3 men.
Chaos.
Representing WCW, we had DDP, Piper, and the Ultimate Warrior. We couldn't say Ultimate, so he was just the Warrior. How was he in that match?
Wild.
Did
he threw himself through the cage.
Okay. Piper had to be a shell of himself at this point, too. NWO Hollywood was Hogan, Bret Hart, and Stevie Ray.
Yeah, interesting.
And Wolfpack was Nash, Sting, and Luger. Huh. Very interesting teams here. Like, the only one I probably would have picked was Wolfpack.
Yeah.
So
it was a wild.
Hall looked a little...
Hall looked a little wasted.
This might have started his long list of storied problems backstage showing up where he can't compete. Because they said every single time he showed up at TNA, he just could not go.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. 99 edition, first time without War Games. They were in such a bad spot. They're like, we ain't even do War Games anymore.
Too expensive to put 2 rings in there.
Filthy Animals defeated Vampiro and Insane Clown Posse. That shows you how WCW was doing.
I saw that match. I think that's the last match I saw.
Sting defeated Hogan for the WCW heavyweight belt. A little too late.
Yep.
Goldberg defeated Diamond Dallas Page, and Sid Vicious defeated Benoit for the U.S. title. So, I mean, big names. Just at this point, WCW could not execute anything to save their lives.
No.
The writing was bad. The storylines were bad. They changed titles every other day.
Morale wasn't good.
No. In 2000, the last year they did it, WCW just falling apart here. They actually had a Survivor Series style elimination match. The last year they did it, they're like, you know what? This was a straight Survivor Series ripoff. We're doing an elimination match. And it was the Filthy Animals, Paul Orndorff, and Big Vito defeating the Natural Born Thrillers, who was like Scott, was all those guys, Sean O'Hare, and all the Chippendale dancer looking dudes from WCW, all from the power plant, all those guys. Booker T defeated Kevin Nash in a cage match for the heavyweight title. That was the only match of note I saw on that card. So yeah, that was WCW's Fall Brawl.
Fall Brawl.
And just in true WCW fashion, showed just that meteoric rise. Like they went like that card, some of those cards, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And then to end it with like Insane Clown Posse and Rey Mysterio not wearing his mask, and
Yeah.
straight up Survivor Series match. Like they're just throwing anything at the wall.
Totally.
Because Russo was in charge at that point.
Yeah,
so who knows?
Rough. It's rough.
So yeah, I love anything WCW, man. I watched 93 today, and I thought a lot of my favorite nostalgia moments were from NWO, but man, I loved WCW in the 90s.
Yeah, it just had a good aura about it. Good, the production was good. The really big characters, grown men.
Yeah.
It was just
Where the big boys play.
It was just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just fun.